Hey folks, welcome back. This is Chris in Central Pennsylvania. In a driving rainstorm, feels like Durban, not Central Pennsylvania here, so I can't do this outside in nice sunshiny weather. But news today breaking out of the United States. This comes from News 24 back in South Africa. The Democratic Alliance meets with U.S. leaders to stabilize diplomatic relations amid heightened tensions. Now, I have a question. Will MK or EFF or ANC now file treason charges against the Democratic Alliance, a member of the Government of National Unity Grand Coalition in South Africa? It's a fair question. I mean, after all, the DA is not responsible for the Director of International Relations and Cooperation, DIRCO. That is the ANC inside this government. Ronnie Lamola is the foreign minister. Ronnie Lamola is not seeking a conversation with U.S. officials. Why not? Why isn't the ANC, who is complaining about the United States canceling foreign aid to South Africa and offering a refugee program to a class of South Africans, why isn't the ANC engaging the United States? Why aren't their diplomatic overtures taking place? Why does it fall to the junior partner in a grand coalition, the Democratic Alliance, that has no stake in the game, no dog in the fight, no skin in the game? They are not responsible for this. Well, the DA sent their spokesman for international relations and cooperation, that would be Member of Parliament Emma Powell, to tell us about this, and she said it was necessary to do this, very necessary to do this. Because the relations are damaged. But that's not your job. So will there be treason charges filed against you? One has to wonder. Now, a few days back, Ibrahim Rasool, the ambassador to the U.S., the guy who's been very disrespectful and disdainful of the United States and of Donald Trump in particular, yet nonetheless the ANC chose to pick this person who hates America and hates Donald Trump to be the ambassador in Washington. That's not a good sign, but that's what they did. Well, he told News 24 last week that basically the State Department is just Marco Rubio and his staff around him because they fired everybody at the State Department. They fired 300 people and there is no Africa Bureau. Well, I'm here to tell you that that's a lie. There is an Africa Bureau. There are people there. Yes, a lot of people have been fired, but there are plenty of people working at the State Department. So this is a misrepresentation of reality by the South African ambassador to the United States, ostensibly to explain why he's not doing his job. Well, on their trip, the DA emphasized the importance of maintaining strong communication channels between the two nations, which would be the responsibility of Ibrahim Rasool and Ronnie Lamola, not Emma Powell and John Steenhuisen. In light of recent tensions exacerbated by unnecessary provocations that have harmed unity in South Africa, unnecessary provocations. Well, that's a dig at Solidarity. That would be the private sector organization that actually has gotten meetings at the White House with Congress and with key decision makers and influencers in the United States to try to head off a United States effort to potentially put sanctions on South Africa, trade embargo, or actually cancel AGOA for South Africa. While Ronnie Lamola is nowhere to be found, the ANC is nowhere to be found as they allow this relationship to rot on the vine. In addition to that, they've made unnecessary provocations, going on Twitter, publicly announcing the Deputy Secretary General of the African National Congress, telling the world that they met with Iran for their long-term strategic partnership. And that is exactly the reason why Donald Trump mentioned he was going to cancel aid. So the DA felt it's necessary to ensure that U.S. leaders have fact-based information regarding South Africa. Now, folks, this is the height of arrogance and cheek for a opposition party, now a junior member of a coalition, to come to America to school our officials on what's happening in South Africa. I suspect that our officials are pretty well informed of what's happening there. And this is simply an effort by a coalition partner to cover up the race-based legislation, to dismiss it away with nonsensical arguments that aren't being made by the people who are arguing against the laws. Nobody is talking about white genocide. Nobody is talking about farm murders. That is the media. That is the DA. That is Agri-SA. That is the ANC government. Not Solidarity, not AfriForum, and not genuine journalists. No one like us is talking about that nonsense. Those are dog whistles put up to undermine the arguments of people who are upset about the fact that in South Africa, laws make some people second-class citizens. Kind of like apartheid. It's just really not the way things are supposed to be. Well, and it gets even better. News 24 in a news report did a fine job until they decided to editorialize in the report. Sia Mantanda Kappa, who is the journalist, at News 24, claims that AfriForum and Solidarity are at odds with the South African government over peddling misinformation. Well, that's an opinion, Sia Mantanda. That's not a fact, and you shouldn't stick that in a news report, once again calling out fake news here. That belongs on an op-ed page. They're not peddling misinformation. You're peddling misinformation by lying about what they've said without having the facts in place. Anyway, folks, today the DA reports that they spent the past week talking to U.S. officials in Congress, in the White House, and We'll see how true that is. Meantime, why is the DA here? Will there be treason charges? They don't control the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Turco. That's Ronnie Lamole in the ANC. What say you, South Africa? Cheers.